Welcome to our first ever Fantasy Premier League podcast. This is the FPL Roundtable Podcast, episode 1. I'm your host, FPL Cayman, joined by FPL Kanji and FPL Stark. So let's get straight into it. So for today's agenda, we have the overview of today's session. Initially, we're going to discuss his last week game review. We're going to look at the key highlights as well as the knee-jack picks, as well as we're going to look at our punts, flop, and captaincy of the week. That's an interesting section that we come up with. We'll get into more in details into the next section. And then we're also going to look at the fixtures to target, as well as the tactical changes that might be happening with various managers due to injuries and whatnot. And we're also going to be looking at my Game Week 6 wildcard draft. As you know, I'm actually, a spoiler alert, I'm on wildcard Game Week 6. So, and lastly, we have transfers as well as our team review from last week. So let's get straight into it. Kanji, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm amazing. It's like we've always been chatting like throughout the week. We do it on the spaces. We chat in our group chat. So it's nice to have a podcast to put it all together.
Stark, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm excited to have some FPL therapy and discuss the previous game week and look forward ahead to the next game week and gain some insight from you experts.
We're going to first look at Game Week 5 results, all the matches that we've watched, the key things to take away. So I will start off with FPL Kanji, mate. Again, what are your thoughts? What games have you watched? And what are the key takeaway from Game Week 5?
I watched all the games, but I want to specifically focus on the Man City and Arsenal game. I thought that this game was going to be a low-scoring game, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a snooze fest. Like, I don't even own Holland. So when he went out there and he scored, I mean, I was pretty devastated. I can't lie. There were even people in the community that captained him. Like, I was really surprised. But when I looked at the XG in the game, it was pretty high for Man City. They had around 2.4 XG. Arsenal were at like 1.0, but they just found a way to just stink up the game in the second half because Arsenal were up at that point 2-1 in the second half and they just shut up shop. You know, they subbed off Saka and they just went completely defensive. They subbed on Ben White. They had all the guys that were defenders playing center backs. They even put Havertz into midfield. Like they clogged up the entire like mid of the defense. They clogged up the 18-yard box and it just made it very difficult for Man City to break down. And they almost survived. They literally almost escaped with a 2-1 win if it wasn't for that last-minute goal. I think it was by John Stones, like somebody random. But like it was a really interesting performance. I think it's a little bit disappointing because when we look at the other like Premier League rivalries in history where it's like we were so used to watching Klopp versus Pep, or it was just more exciting. This feels kind of like it's the new rivalry and it's a little bit disappointing from my perspective. What do you guys think?
Definitely think that starting to develop a new rivalry, which makes it a lot more interesting because it never was really there. Obviously, Arteta he learned everything. He learned his trade from Pep. So it's a very interesting tactical battle considering, think about how many hours they've probably spent together talking about football and systems and all those kind of things. And they play very similar with obviously centre-backs playing the fullback position and having one invert into midfield. So, and Arsenal have signed a lot of Manchester City players. So it's good to see, specifically Haaland. The guy is elite. And the reason why he is elite is because of his mentality. He doesn't like losing. And you can see it. You can see it in his performance on Sunday.
Just to add on to the Man City and Arsenal game, I think Arsenal should have won that game. I think they were really hard done by the referee's decision to red card Trossard. I don't think that was a red card personally. There was a big controversy around whether did he mean to shoot or did he know that was they in the moment of the game. I don't think he intentionally meant to waste time right there. I think it was just a follow-up.
Yeah, but this is what happens. I mean, we saw this happen with Rice, like literally 2 weeks ago against Brighton. Like they just continue to just do unnecessary things to put them in a position to get punished by the refs. And like Man City kind of owned the refs. I just feel like it's a weird situation where like Arsenal players have like kind of caused their own demise in a way.
Moving on swiftly though, Kanji, is there any other fixture you'd like to get into?
Yeah, of course. Like the Liverpool game was incredible. I'm noticing this trend where it's like at home, whenever Liverpool are there, whenever Salah gets the ball, he's not getting into the best high XG positions where he's becoming more of like a creator. And he's been like this since last season. But last year under Klopp, it felt like the entire attack was flowing. Last year, it felt like the entire attack was flowing through Mo, and it still feels that way. But some of the bigger chances are actually falling more and more often to Luis Diaz, who's coming off of the wide touchline on the left-hand side, and Salah is getting the ball, he picks it up, he goes inside, but Diaz is making the run, and they're having this really good connection. They had a very similar connection last year, but Diaz has been so wasteful. But right now, Diaz is so hot in the Premier League. When he's playing for Colombia, he's just burying every single chance, and it's really refreshing to watch him in red hot form. And it just makes me question. It's like, hey, Salah's 12.5, and Diaz is at 8.0. Maybe we could drop the Egyptian king, you know?
I think that point about Diaz and Salah is it's going to I think it's going to define a lot of people's game weeks coming up, because a lot of people are on wildcard 6, and there's a lot of people who are going to be dropping Mo for Diaz to enable the likes of Haaland, maybe Watkins, Solanke. A lot of people have got love for Palmer or Jackson, those other big hitters. So I think these fixtures coming up, it's going to be season defining. Not season defining, but I think there's going to be a big swift in ranks and gains from FPL players, especially losing Salah and putting their faith in Diaz, because I know Slot's already said, I think it was after the international break, he was planning on starting Gakpo ahead of Diaz. So
In the first game, yeah, he was, yes. He was planning to.
yeah,
But
but
apparently Diaz was in better form or better fitness.
yeah, he came back fitter, so he got the start. In red hot form, that's the thing. This red hot form, is it sustainable? It's the first question mark I have, and if it's not, rotation is on the brink.
It's interesting because like we want to focus on Liverpool, but I think we should kind of touch on Bournemouth as well. You know, they've been so underrated this year. In every match they've played, they've had similar or more XG than their opponents, apart from when they played the bigger teams like Liverpool, where they've gotten dismantled. But even though they scored 0 goals, they put up over 1 XG in the game. It just goes to show you that they have some really interesting attackers, of like even Nielsen or Clivert, Tavernier, Semenyo. Like these are going to be good FPL picks, and they're priced so cheaply in FPL.
I agree, and I think Semenyo had a goal that was offside. I mean, Bournemouth were really good on the counter. I mean, they could have easily punished Liverpool with 1 or 2 goals. I'm quite happy with Semenyo's performance, and I do have one on one. I do have him as one of the transfer targets this week. I do want to touch on the Diaz and the Salah aspect. Look, with Salah, you get nailed on 90 minutes, right? Pens and obviously sometimes even set pieces if Trent is not on the pitch. I think, look, Salah is a set and forget. Diaz is not. Diaz, we already know that he's going to get rotated depending on Champions Leagues. And obviously, another thing we forgot, he's going to go on international break and he goes to Brazil, right? And that travel is not so close. You know, it's a long travel. There is the likely chance that he gets benched. Maybe not in the next 2, but after that. And look, if you're looking for a 2-week punt, you can go for Diaz. But personally, I think it's a bit of a knee-jerk transfer. Although he's on a purple patch, I understand why you would go for that. But I would say he's, for me, a little bit of a knee-jerk considering his form, which I don't think is sustainable, personally. But yeah,
Yeah, I think lastly on the Liverpool game, I think that's a really impressive clean sheet. I think Bournemouth are a very attacking outfit. I think they're very underrated as well. They've got a great team. Forget FPL assets for a second. Alex Scott, baller, Kirkes, baller. The manager has a system. You can see the way they want to play. They're aggressive, they're front footed. And I think that's quite an impressive clean sheet, which puts my stocks in Trent. Even I'm putting more stocks in Trent, man. Set and forget.
Yeah, so Trent's a really interesting topic of discussion. I'm seeing a lot of him in wildcards more than I thought I would. He has really good underlying data, picking up 2.2 XGI so far, and that excludes the goal that he scored against Man United because it was offside. And then you factor into account like how much that would be XGI per 90. But I'm not sure if I want to focus on XGI per 90 because Trent doesn't play 90 minutes. It's more so about the XGI per start, and he's averaging 0.4. That's in line with the players of like Palmer and Saka and Son in terms of XGI per start. So he's averaging really high numbers, and he's playing in a team that has 2 defensive midfielders, which are sort of protecting the back line. And it allows Trent to just push more forward and not have to worry too much about defending because there are 2 players in that CDM position rather than 1 player last year. So I think we're just going to be less gung ho. We're going to be less aggressive as a Liverpool team, and we'll just be more tactical, more conservative. Even when we go up 2 or 3 nothing, I don't expect us to score 4 or 5 goals that we would have under Klopp. And I just think that those type of tactics really set up well for somebody like Trent, like as a season long hold. I mean, we've seen him in FPL being priced at 7.5 for 3 or 4 years in a row. They raised him to 8.0 last year, and his effective ownership was pretty low. But at this point, being priced at 7, and we've seen Liverpool improve defensively, I mean, you've got to make an argument for him being a season long hold, right?
I agree.
What about the most anticipated fixture of Saturday, the early kickoff? Chelsea, West Ham, the club close to my heart. What a performance! Did you guys get to see that game?
Did, and I was praying that Palmer doesn't get a brace because they look so bad. West Ham looks so bad. I mean, goodness, they were gifting the goals. They were shaking their boots. I mean, look, the guy had to make like 3 or 4 subs before 50 minutes because the players were just they were gone, mentally gone. They couldn't be on the pitch. They were completely compromised. It's like they've never played football before. Some of the defenders, the mistakes that they were making, and the midfield, they were getting cut open through. And I think it's mainly on the manager, to be honest. The system that he plays, he's not willing to play a striker. He doesn't, he doesn't give the players that he has enough confidence. So I don't think they want to fight for him, honestly, and I don't think he lasts in it any long. But in regards to Chelsea, look, Chelsea has so many attackers. They're bound to get goals, right? They're amazing attack, one arguably top 4 attack in the league. But you just don't know where the returns are going to come from. Like I understand, like Jackson and Palmer are the ideal picks, but even then, right? I mean, they don't get 90 minutes. So thoughts on that, Kanji?
Yeah, I was weird to see Palmer only get like 60 minutes this game. I fully expect him to play 90 minutes, given that he's not in the Conference League squad as well. So just something I'm monitoring. But I do feel that of the premiums, Saka and Palmer are the ones that I'm really nervous about not owning. If I went into a week without them, I feel like those are the ones that can really punish me on a consistent basis.
With regards to the Palmer early substitution, I don't think people should worry. I think if you watch the game, Emerson and Alvarez were literally hacking him down as if he was a tree in the forest. And at 3-0 up, Maresca just wanted to protect him because it was beyond a joke. We were just literally breaking on transition, and I felt like with Palmer and Jackson on the pitch, it was looking like 5-0, 6-0 scoreline. But the substitutions came on, and we just controlled the game, and we weren't, overly aggressive, and we just controlled the game. And I think it was,
And that's a good thing. And that's a good thing for somebody like Sanchez, right?
yeah, that's the thing. He's making a lot of saves because we do give up chances, and he's making the save. Like he's got a mistake in him as a Chelsea fan. At the start of the season, that's probably one of the question marks over our club. A number 9, and then a keeper who can not make mistakes, and arguably our defence. Everything else, it looks amazing. So to see our striker scoring, someone I want to succeed so badly in Jackson, and Sanchez actually making saves, it's just coming together nicely. But I
Shout out
just
to
think
Michael Jackson, man. Shout out to Michael Jackson.
breaking down the performance in West Ham, West Ham weren't at it, and you're right. It looks like the players aren't motivated. However, I think that it was a combination of both. I think we were excellent on the ball, drawing them in. They were pressing us with 4 players, and we were breaking the press with Cucurella inverting. And if you look at the goal, it's a break the press, play it into, I believe, one of the midfielders who played it into Caicedo. I think it was to Enzo to Caicedo, who played a through ball to Jackson. And I think West Ham are definitely a team to target right now for attackers. And they seem to be playing a higher line than I thought they would, which is leaving space behind for strikers. So it's one to keep an eye out for future fixtures.
What about my club, Manchester United? It's like it's a circle, right? We hire a new manager. He wins a couple of games, and then he loses a couple of games. We say sack him, and then come off season we hire another one, and then we say yeah he's okay, he's good, and then he does loses a couple more, and then we sack him again. It's like there is no consistency, and I think there is a deep issue. I don't even think it's a management issue anymore. We've had lots of managers come and go. I think the front office, I would say the not even just managers, I would say like the recruiters, the owners, um, they're the problem, I think, and I think our fans is also the problem. I mean, after we won the FA Cup, they were sending letters to United owners saying, "Yeah, keep Ten Hag." Like, what have you seen for the last 3 years to say that you want to keep this guy, man? Come on, he basically jammed his way to a Carabao Cup win, jammed his way to a FA Cup win, and all of a sudden he's the next coming of like what second coming of Jesus, like the savior of Manchester United. What are we talking about here? So ultimately, I have no faith in my club. Ultimately, I think we're shocking in terms of the performances and in terms of FPL aspect. I wouldn't touch any player of Manchester United, even if they had good fixtures, But if you had to go for any of them, and if there was only one player I would go if there was an attacker, it was Garnacho. I mean, he was amazing. I understand he didn't get any returns, but he could have easily come away with a hat trick. I mean, he hit the bar twice. I mean, like the guy was just making runs left, right, and center, When you have someone like Bruno that loves to give long balls, you'll always find him. And I think, look, if we see he starts to get minutes, he's a good shout. But otherwise, I wouldn't touch any United players, man. I mean, no United fans would tell you to go for any players from our club. We're shocking. I'll let Stark
Yeah.
or Kanji touch on Palace, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's a couple things to talk about with Man U. It's like Onana could be one of the best goalkeepers in FPL. The reason is because Man United will find a way to have some jamming clean sheets over the season, and he will make a bunch of saves consistently in every game because we don't trust Man United defensively, right? The next thing to talk about would be Diego Dallo, who actually has the most amount of bonus points accumulated over the course of the season so far of any FPL defender. So Dallo could be a good pick in easier fixtures if he's nailed. Like, I found that he got burned in the Southampton game where, like, Dibbling went by him to draw the penalty, but he still went out in that match and got the assist, and even in a game like this, he continues to return against a Palace side, but Eze had the chance to score a goal against Man U, but he didn't. Bruno had the chance. Garnacho had some chances to score. I mean, Bruno hit the bar. Garnacho, like, had the goalkeeper save. He also went off target a couple times, so there is potential there. Like Man United went out there in this fixture, they put up 2 XG in the game versus Palace. They put up 1 XG, but neither of them scored a goal. So it's like the story is that it's 2 attacks that have been underwhelming so far this season, and we just have to wait to see if they will improve their output.
Stark, you want to touch on Eze missing 2 clear chances?
No, I think you guys covered the Palace and United game well. Me personally, I was more focused on the Villa Wolves game and
Mhm.
Brentford. Firstly, on Spurs versus Brentford, both teams' defenses wide open, like the Red Sea. I think Tottenham are getting. I think they're a bit underrated right now with the FPL players. Like they literally have their whole team in front of the halfway line, fullbacks inverting, wingers holding the width. Solanke, they're playing Bentancur, Kulusevski, and Madison in midfield. So they're literally all out attack. So with the fixtures coming up that they've got, I think players like Madison, second mid, isn't he the second midfielder with the highest XGI?
Villa
Just
game?
2 things on that game. Like,
Yeah.
Solanke picked up 1.5 XG, which is insane. That's not even XGI. That's just XG. Spurs as a team put up 3.5 XG, which is really strong. And I found that like Son is just wider than I want him to be. Where it's like when I'm watching the game, Solanke's the one that all the chances are falling to. So it's just something to keep in mind, especially if you're looking to bring in like a different type of structure. I think your priority from Spurs should be Solanke. But of the Brentford assets, I think Brandon Bumo is a lock from game week 6 until game week 38. He will be one of the best value picks in the game. 90 minutes, penalties, the system that Brentford use, they'll find a way to like score goals in the counter attack, and they're really good from set pieces as well, from throw-ins and corners. And I really like Flecken as a 4.5 keeper. He has the most saves in the entire league so far. And Brentford have the type of system where they concede a lot of shots from outside the box. And I just think Flecken will be one of the best value picks at 4.5. And especially because they've already played against Liverpool, Man City, and Spurs, they will get a way to potentially have some clean sheets in the future, you know?
I don't see the clean sheets coming for Flecken personally. And I also think Mbumo is going to let a lot of managers down on the game week 6 wildcard with the fixture swing. So let's wrong.
Let's wait and see. Moving on to Villa, I did watch the Villa game, right? Villa and Wolves. Look, Villa did struggle versus Wolves the first 60 to 70 minutes, I'd say. But the minute Watkins scored the first goal, it was competitive. It was over, right? And then obviously the Mascara injury, that was a big deal. That's when they started to come back. Finally, the story of the game week, Rogers had 2 assists. And look, I think Villa overall, they're a good team, but I don't know if they will be able to sustain their form and able to replicate what they did last season, considering that they'll have to play Europe, they'll have to play Champion Leagues. I don't think they used to that many games. I don't think they have that much depth. I mean, Bailey just came back from injury, and to get the minutes that he got recently, I don't know if that's good because he could, get a recurring injury. But Kituke, look, Duran, man, the guy comes to the bench and scores again. I mean, look, I think he's good. He's the third highest scorer in the league right now after Haaland and Jackson, and I think it's Duran. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I think he's got four goals already in 5 games. Uh, it's insane. Like Salah doesn't have 4 goals. Saka doesn't have 4 goals. Like he's outscoring all the premiums. It's insane, and he's coming off the bench. I mean, in like 30, 40 minutes. Look, if anyone says I want to go for Duran, I wouldn't blame them now because the guy is inevitable, mate. Like So look, the Villa they have good fixtures coming up. I mean, you could look to target them, but I would be cautious because of the Champions League and obviously the midweek fixtures in Europe and whatnot.
Yeah, the Villa Wolves game, everything seems to click later on in the second half when Emery makes a few subs. For example, bringing Duran on, and I think in that game specifically, when he brought on Duran with Rodgers and Watkins on the pitch, they just looked so good and so threatening in the attack. And I personally did a knee slide in my room when I saw that Rodgers assisted Watkins, as I have both of them in my team. So long may that continue.
And obviously, I want to touch on the Brighton game. I mean, Brighton look good. Forest also look good. I mean, Wood is on pens. That's news to us. João Pedro has continued to disappoint people. I mean, he's a sell right now because he's injured. I mean, Wood, he's a lock on my wild card. Obviously, Gibbs White red card. That's another thing we should be careful of because we are picking Forest players and they're missing one of their best players. I'm not sure how it'll impact them, but yeah. So let's move on. I think we've talked about enough, covered most of the pictures. There's not much to say about Southampton and Ipswich. I mean, these are bottom feeders. I wouldn't really pick anyone from them except maybe your Greaves or Davies. But yeah,
One thing, one thing I would like to just say to finish off on the Nottingham Forest Brighton game, I think it highlights the importance of information when waiting on a wild card, because there's a lot of game week 6 wildcarders who are currently putting Wood in their draft as a lock because they were patient, and now everyone has the information that Wood's on pens, whereas everyone had the belief Morgan Gibbs White was on pens. So that little piece of information is going to be key for those wildcarding in this game week.
Mm.
So let's move on to the next section. We have the review of our game week 5 punt, flop, and captaincy, aka PFC. This is a new section that we come up with every week. We pick our players that we think that will, that will score, that are not, that are basically less than 10% owned, that will be considered a punt, and players that are over 15% owned, that will not get returned. We consider that to be a flop, and the captaincy pick of the week, which we think is the best captain in our opinion. And last week's myself, I had picked as my punt as Vardy, with Everton at home, and I had flop as an ESR because I wanted him to flop because I sold him. I had agenda against him, and I had captaincy was Salah, which was obviously he had a very good fixture. And yeah, overall, as you can
It's
see,
funny if you just if you just switched like Vardy and ESR in the other boxes, you would have got 3 for 3.
I know, right? Imagine, right? I wish. But yeah, overall, I got 1 point because I only had one correct, which captaincy was Salah. I got one return. But yeah, Kanji, you're next.
Yeah, I mean, I've been high on Solanke since preseason. I actually even considered starting with him in my game week 1 squad. So I knew in this Brentford fixture, the guy was going to cook as long as he started. Of course, he banged. It was very obvious to predict. I was not expecting Holland to continue to score goals, especially against Arsenal. But for some reason, Gabriel was out of position. Holland punished in that one moment in that game. Apart from that, he didn't really do much, in my opinion. But Holland's the man of the moments. He just punished, and my flop was wrong there. But happy that I got my captaincy and my punt correct.
Well done, mate. 2 points. Stark, you're next.
Yeah, I decided to punt on Rashford. I thought with the confidence of his last 2 games, he would get a start. But Ten Hag, aka Walter White, robbed me. That Dutch fraud. Rashford didn't start. Obviously, that was an L. I knew João Pedro would flop. I didn't think he would start. He's highly owned. Everyone transferred him in. And I just didn't think, even Nottingham Forest is a great defence anyways, as we've seen. So that was my flop punt. And captaincy Palmer, I feel personally robbed here. I think if he stayed on that pitch, he was 100% hauling that game on the counter, on the transition. I mean, even when he was on for the little bit of the second half, the amount of times Madueke could have played him in, Palmer did play in Madueke and he just decided to shoot and he couldn't finish it. But ultimately, 2 out of 3, not bad. Gonna go 3 for 3 next week, trust.
Yeah, good options. Let's look at our next week's PFC. So for game week 6, our punt and flop and captaincy. I'll go first. My punt is Lewis. I do have him, spoiler alert, I do have him in my wildcard draft. I want him to do so much, so well. So I hope he bangs. I have Solanke. I want him to flop because I think just because he scored that one rebound goal versus Brentford where he should have at least had a hat trick, he had so many chances, he still couldn't get much returns. And I think he just doesn't look right this season for some reason. So I do think versus United, I don't think he gets a return. And obviously Salah, I want to be different. I want to captain Salah this week because I know 90% of the game is going to captain Haaland. I think Salah to away to Wolves. It's a good captain. So yeah, I think hopefully he'll get maybe a double digit.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that you're a Man United fan when you got Solanke as the flop, eh? Anyways, so I think that my punt this week is gonna be Bowen. He's coming up against Brentford. We've seen what Brentford have done. They've been pretty poor, so I feel like this is the type of fixture run from game week 6 to game week like 17. Like there's an 11-week period where Bowen is gonna be one of the best value picks. It starts this week and it'll continue when he plays Ipswich as well. So you'll see Bowen and my punt for the next couple of weeks for sure. Vardiol is the one I'm not sure will get any returns playing against Newcastle. I'll be hoping for some sort of goal for Isak or Gordon or Harvey Barnes on the counterattack. And I'm going to be captaining Saka because I think he just has the best fixture on paper. I expect Arsenal to score 3 or 4 goals even without Odegaard. We saw them do it in the cup match in midweek. I'm expecting Saka to get at least 80 minutes in this match. So that's why he's going to be my captain.
Stock, you got Mateta as punt, Havertz as flop, and Salah as captain.
Yeah, I've decided to punt on Mateta this week, playing Everton. I mean, if you look at the season, the start they've had, they've conceded a minimum of 3 goals in every game besides the Leicester game. And even in that game, I don't think Leicester have been impressive at all this season, and they were creating a lot of chances. So I'm expecting Palace to improve with an attack of Nketiah, Mateta and Eze. And I'm hoping Mateta might get a penalty or a couple of goals, kick-start his season. Havertz,
He did get a he did get a 45th minute sub last game though, eh?
yeah, he did. However, I've discovered it wasn't injury related. It was just a change of tactical nous from the manager, as stated in a podcast, not a press conference. My bad. So I wouldn't have punted on him if I knew it was an injury, but I did my research and he should be good to go this week. It wasn't injury related.
Good punt.
With regards to the flop, Havertz, I just think Jesus is going to start up front, and I think Havertz is going to play in midfield or the Odegaard position. So I can see him letting down a lot of managers this week. And captaincy, obviously the king, Madueke got a hat-trick against Ait Nori, the Wolves matchup. They've just had a terrible injury to Mosquera. So defensively, they've already been poor. So to lose one of their best centre-backs, hopefully they're just defensively even worse. And I think it's fitting that everyone's going to sell Salah for Diaz, Saka's, and Salah's going to haul this week. So fingers crossed.
Good decisions, mate. Good explanations too. All right, let's move on to our next section where we get into the fixture swings and tactical changes for different teams due to injuries or due to the bad form. So yeah, I'll let Kanji start.
Yeah, I think the first thing to look at is going to be Everton, where in the next 5 games they have 3 home fixtures and then 2 fixtures against newly promoted sides. Calvert-Lewin would be one of my first players that I put into a wild card. Then we can also see Arsenal's fixtures where they're coming up against Leicester and Southampton, where I'm expecting nice 3 or 4-0 wins in those games. Then they come up against Bournemouth, where they may not keep the clean sheet, but I still expect goals there. Then there's a mixed run after that for Arsenal in the next 3. So you could technically consider going for like a Havertz for the next 6 weeks and then switching to a double defense, but I'm not sure how many transfers you would have. If you do have some transfers in hand on wildcard, I would consider that, but most people don't, and that's why I wouldn't look that way. Another thing to consider would be Wolves, who are have Another thing to consider would be Wolves, who have had very tough fixtures to start this season. Then they still have to play against Liverpool this week. I think Man City as well in the future. And then from game week 9 onwards, their fixtures open up from an attacking perspective. And then from game week 11 onwards, they open up from a defensive perspective. So Cunha is definitely somebody I am monitoring. A 90-minute man on the penalties for Wolves is definitely somebody I'd look to bring into my squad around that time. But those are the only fixtures that stand out to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Cunha's going to be popular game week 9/10. He's taking free kicks. He's taking corners. He's essential to everything they're doing. He's already proven he can score in slightly more difficult fixtures, and who knows, maybe he's on penalties as well. I
Yeah,
hope that's
I think he got a hat trick against your boys last year, right?
what Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what did he do this season against us? They
What do you
held.
guys think of this goalkeepers rotation that people are talking about? Flecken and is it Babrigan or Muric that they're
Yes,
talking about?
there's a few, isn't there? I've
Yeah.
seen right? Raya and Muric, and people are.
Yeah, people are doing Sanchez and Muric, I think, as well. They rotate well. Um, Personally, I wouldn't invest into rotating goalkeepers. I've never done it before, to be honest. So I don't have much experience in that. I don't know if you guys have ever rotated keepers and had a successful season. I've always picked one keeper. It's either 4.5 or either 5 million. Stuck with that for most of the season. Personally, I think Ray is a no-brainer if you're on wildcard. Considering these three fixtures, I can see easily them holding 3 clean sheets, and most likely he'll be on bonus points. One thing I want to add on Raya though, this season, for Arsenal, he's been getting a lot of saves. Understandable, they had tough fixtures, right? Another thing is, I think for keepers this season, they get more BPS for clean sheets rather than saves. In the past, it used to be keepers used to get more BPS for saves, and hence they get bonus points. However, this season, you can see the Raya has been hogging the bonus points because not only just he's making saves, but he's keeping clean sheets. So as if in previous season you used to see Saliba on bonuses, right? And Gabriel maybe. But this season we're seeing a trend where the keepers are getting more BPSs due to their clean sheets. So I think, guys, look, a lot of people are talking about whether to go with double attack Arsenal or double defense. I think if you go with double defense, if Raya is healthy, it is a no-brainer to go Raya and Gabriel. And if you're going double attack, you got options like you got the Martinelli and Havertz, you got the Saka and Havertz, which is the common one. But I would be cautious of Havertz because of the fact that, look, he's going to play a bit more deeper role. Jesus is back. He may most likely play striker. And he's going to be more of playing the other guard or creating rather than playing that false nine or the striker role centrally. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Yeah, Stark, if you want to add anything else to it.
Yeah, with on the topic of goalkeepers, I think like even if Raya was the same price as Saliba, I think I would still go for Raya due to the fact that if he does make 3 saves and they keep a clean sheet, he's guaranteed to get more BPS than Saliba. Saliba would have to get an attack in return in order to get those bonus points from Raya. And I think if Arsenal can just if he can just keep 3 saves, that's quite easy as opposed to scoring a goal in a football match
Yeah,
from a set.
yeah, but yeah, that hasn't really happened last year though. Like last year, Raya had 46 saves over 32 matches, averaging less than 2 saves a game. Now, it's kind of been the perfect storm where Arsenal have been down to 10 men twice, where they've been relying upon Raya. We also saw Raya make a penalty save in the Champions League, so I don't want to put you off Raya in particular, but I'm not 100% convinced Raya is the best third pick from Arsenal. I still have my eyes on the Leicester and Southampton games. If Arsenal concede shots on target, Raya's making 2 or more saves in those matches, then I'll agree with you. But for now, I still think Saliba is better, and maybe I'll change my mind after the next 2 weeks.
I think the 0.5 million save into the Arsenal defense, which also allows you to just never look at your goalkeeper position ever again. Because let's be honest, who wants to waste a transfer on goalkeepers? Secondly, I do understand rotating 2.2, 4.5 goalkeepers and just playing the fixture, and the outcome will be what it will be. However, for me, with how good Arsenal defense is, they're fixture proof. It's almost like I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal concede to Leicester, but then keep a clean sheet in every top 6 battle they have. They're just completely fixture proof. You don't have to worry about Raya, and I think he just solves a lot of problems and allows you to focus on other areas when it
What do
comes to
you
transfer.
what do you think of the other defenders, 4.5 defenders? Because I understand we know the Liverpool is a lock defense in terms of if you have Trent, you don't stress about it, so don't forget. Obviously, if you have Gabriel, you sort of forget. But other than Arsenal and Liverpool, who has been keeping clean sheets consistently this season? Not many other teams, to be honest.
Well, Man United have kept 3 clean sheets, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they've kept 2 now, not 3. Maybe they may have, not sure. But United, but they have tough fixtures. Like they got what Villa and they have Tottenham in the next 2.
I think those 2 fixtures are great for attacking players. And if Ten Hag wasn't the manager of Manchester United, I would 100% be looking at bringing in a Manchester United attacker for those 2 game weeks, because I think even the fixtures after Villa and Tottenham, I think they're amazing.
I agree.
For
I agree. Yeah, I would have
Man United.
Garnacho on my wildcard if he was nailed. So,
Well, he did get dropped in the Europa League game on Wednesday, and he looked so. I mean, this season he started. He's such an explosive player. Last season, he's a shot merchant, always shooting, always getting in behind, so direct. He gets a lot of chances. If he can nail down the spot, I think at 6.4 million, he's definitely one to keep an eye on. This season, United have made signings, and it's just difficult to predict who's going to start. And I
Yes.
think Bruno's just underwhelming, and I just wouldn't touch Bruno.
Yeah, so just specifically touching on that goalkeeper topic that we were mentioning earlier, I think despite finishing 17th last year, Nottingham Forest were the fourth best team for expected goals conceded, only behind Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City last year. And so far this season, they're actually second, only behind Liverpool, but their fixtures have been pretty favorable, playing against Wolves and Southampton. But that would probably be one of the best 4.5 keepers. I feel like Nottingham Forest, of the 4.5 defenders and keepers, could be something to really consider.
In regards to 4.5 defenders, I want to get back to which defense do you guys target other than Arsenal, Liverpool, and obviously City. Yeah, if you take those three teams out, would you target?
I would say, based on trends so far this season, if I was on a wild card, I would definitely look at Mazraoui, although there is a question mark with regards to Shaw coming back and Dallo performing so well that Shaw might come in for Mazraoui. However, I do think that United are capable of keeping clean sheets at home against the lesser opposition, or maybe even Delit. Like he's quite dangerous from set pieces, so I could see him maybe get an attack in return. I would maybe look at Colwill as he looks nailed, and I think with his ability to break the line and pass the ball, I think he could honestly chip in with an assist here and there. And I think we're starting to control games. I think we're find a starting 11, which will increase clean sheets and consistency. And let's be honest, Rico Lewis should be in everyone's teams with the Rodri injury news. And I think you could take a punt on Leif Davis with the current fixtures.
I really like Leif Davis. I've owned him since game week 1. I researched him well in preseason, but he's been a troll for me so far. Like I had him on my bench for Liverpool and Man City. I benched him for his 2 returns against Fulham and Brighton, and then I started him against Southampton, his best fixture on paper, but he blanked. But I still have hope that over the course of the next couple of weeks, he can deliver me some points when I decide to play him. Probably around game week 10, 100%, maybe in game week 8 as well against Everton.
I want to add also, you could also go for Aina. You've got Forest. I mean, Forest have Fulham at home, and then obviously they got Chelsea. It's a tough one. After that, they have quite a good few fixtures for till game week 11. So I mean, look, you could go for Aina or one of the centre backs. But other than Forest and other than Ipswich, I don't see any other defense stand out. I mean, historically speaking, Palace used to stand out, but they haven't been that promising. I mean, obviously you could say Chelsea, but Chelsea has a very tough run from game week 8. I mean, Brentford, any thoughts on Brentford defense? Pinnock? I mean, people are talking about Pinnock and
Not really.
Have you seen the meme of a what's it replacing a lock on a door? I mean, that is literally Brentford's defence. It doesn't exist. So for me, Brentford defenders avoid no matter how good the fixtures are, because there's no attacking threat, there's no upside. Whereas someone like Leif Davis and Rico Lewis, even a Robinson, if they keep a clean sheet, they've always got the threat of an assist or a goal. Like Leif Davis is literally essential to Ipswich's attack. He takes corners, he takes some set pieces. I think he has one of the most touches inside the opposition's half for a fullback as well. So with good fixtures, he's definitely gonna haul, I think.
and Brighton. People are talking about Dunk. I'm a bit surprised about that pick. I mean, if you look at their fixtures, they don't have good fixtures till game week 12. Why are people talking about Dunk? Makes no sense
Well,
to me.
it's because like when you're wildcarding, you're setting yourself up for the next like 20 weeks. You're not setting yourself up for the next like 5. So what you do is like you put somebody like Rico Lewis who has good fixtures in the short term and then partner him with somebody like Dunk who has good fixtures after that. Right? Where I just feel like Dunk is the type of person that has the threat from set pieces. He can get like 2 or 3 goals a year. Brighton already kept 1 clean sheet already in an easier fixture, so you just kind of backed them in the easier games. Like on paper, they have some easy games at home in game week 9 against Wolves, in game week 13 against Southampton. They have Leicester in 15 as well. So the only way you'd include Dunk would be if it's in like some sort of fixture rotation, not like a set and forget right now.
I wouldn't include him in a rotation. I mean, where is he rotating? In the next 6, he's only got Wolves at home. I mean, this is a trap, guys. Some of the like, look, I'm looking at the community. People saying Dunk, like he should not be on your wildcard. He should not be your Lewis cover because you're talking about next 6 weeks. Anything can happen in the next 6 weeks. He could get injured. Brighton could, like there's so much that could happen. I would not go for him. I'd say target either an Aina, one of the Forest defenders. They're all 4.5, or target either maybe a Villa defender. I would even go for it. I would prioritize Ipswich and Forest defenders before I get a Brighton defender or a Villa defender, to be honest.
You see, with regards to attacking threat, one player to look out for is Tyreek Mitchell for Crystal Palace. He is top amongst defenders right now, with the likes of, not close to Trent. Trent's in a league of his own, but amongst the rest, he is up there, and that is due to the system change. Obviously, if they're playing Nketiah and Mateta with Eze behind them, the fullbacks are the ones getting forwards, providing the width, and Mitchell is more attacking than Munoz. So it's just one to keep an eye on if they can sort out the defense, because they do have Trevor Chalobah waiting on the sidelines. And I think if he comes in and takes Klein's position, I think they might look more solid. So it's one to keep an eye on for future game weeks and fixture swings.
Yep. I want to add on. I want to touch on obviously Everton defense, and I want to touch on what's it called? The Fulham. We wouldn't be going there, are we?
Everton.
Everton, yeah, because they have good fixtures, right?
It's just a bit of a wait, and I think Mikalenko could look like a steal if Braithwaite comes back and they look more solid like they did last season. But ultimately, it's the definition of a punt. It's either going to go terribly wrong or it's going to work out. So I can see the angle, but for me, it'll be a wait and watch and see how they look with Braithwaite coming, because he might not even be fit. He might struggle.
In terms of forwards, who would you guys say in terms of the fixture? If you look at it, how would you rank your forwards?
I mean, it's obvious to have Calvert-Lewin at the top. Chris Wood would be there for value. Solanke should be there. Isak would be probably a little bit lower in the short run, but probably number 1 for me long term. And I do feel like something to consider has to be Cunha, but we mentioned it earlier.
Yeah. I want to talk about the rotation between Semenyo, DCL, and Rogers or Wood. That's a very good rotation, isn't it? I mean, you could play DCL every week, pretty much the fixture that he has. But with Semenyo and Rogers, that's also a very good rotation. I mean, when Semenyo has good fixtures, Rogers has bad fixture. Like if you look at um, Bournemouth's fixture, like the game week 6 and 7. I mean, the game week 6 is the only tricky one. Who do you bench between Rogers or Semenyo? I mean, we'll get into that later, but that'll be a tough decision. But I think that if you wanted to look for a cheap enablers that rotate really well, I mean, 5 million or 5.2 now for Rogers, and you got 5.6 for Semenyo. That's a very good rotation. I'll personally have that in my team. And yeah, I mean, you could also look to keep ESR, who's got good long-term fixtures, also rotates with Rogers. I mean, there's plenty of option there, and that does enable you to have 2 or 3 premium, even though Haaland is 50 million.
Yeah,
Any
that's
other
right.
thoughts?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. The rotation between those three in particular is just amazing, and it really enables you to go for the likes of Trent, Haaland, have Saka, maybe even have a Solanke. So you just need them to tick along with the easy fixtures, play the right fixture, don't overthink it. You might get a case of where 1 week they get points on your bench, but just remember you've made the right decision fixtures wise. So just keep that faith going forwards, and it should even out.
So with West Ham, would you guys get any West Ham attack?
No, not me personally. I think the manager's going to get the sack. So it's a wait for a new manager for me.
Yeah, they've been playing poor, but I would still back Jared Bowen. He'll pull them out of their graves,
Yeah, look, I think it's a very good, great fixture round for attackers, but I don't trust the manager. I don't think the players have faith in him, as I said already. So I wouldn't go there right now. I want to see and wait and see. So yeah, let's move on to my wildcard draft for game week 6. As you guys know, wildcard is active, and here is my draft. I will start off with first, we have Rhea in goal. He's got Leicester at home. no-brainer pick. He's been the best goalkeeper this season. No arguments. No one has come close. Yes, Alisson has kept some clean sheets, but nowhere near the saves or the bonus points that Raya generates this season. And look, I think he's a set and forget for the rest of the season for me. And I would not be stressed to start him against any top teams, as we saw versus City. He was actually on bonus for 3 point bonus. If he wasn't for that last minute goal that they conceded, he would have got bonuses. He has a bunch of saves. And obviously, I'm pairing him up with Gabriel, who's got also Leicester at home. I think these are the next three fixtures: Southampton, Bournemouth to target, especially with double defense. Bournemouth is away as well, and I think Arsenal as a team, they're very defensively very solid away. I could see the Vardy scoring against Arsenal at home because they're a bit, they can be a bit complacent, and that would ruin my day. But I don't think that will happen. I think they realized, look, they got a draw to Brighton and City. They need a result now. They can't afford to, drop any more points. So Gabriel, set piece threat, is another no-brainer pick. It's a season hold for me. I think the two of the easiest picks that was for me in the wildcard is the first two, is Raya and Gabriel, and that's the reason why I think about wildcarded. To be honest, I wanted to bring Raya. So yeah, Arsenal defense, no-brainer for game week 6. And then you got Lewis, who's got Newcastle away. Some would say it's a tough fixture, but considering Newcastle's form, the fact that they got battered by Fulham, I think it's an easy fixture. I think it should be a green fixture rather than a red, as it says on FPL. So yeah, I think Lewis, because of the Rodri injury, I think he gets his start. I'm obviously going to wait for leaks. If it is leaks that he doesn't start, then I might potentially switch him to Konate. And that may require me to downgrade Calvert-Lewin to the likes of João Pedro or Vardy, because I wouldn't have enough fun to find Konate. But this is the one spot that I think is a punt. It's a bit of a risky move considering Pep Roulette, right? You never know who's going to start. But I'm thinking because Rodri is injured, it's a long-term injury, and listening to Manchester City fans on Twitter, they're all saying, look, he's our easy switch. He's the main guy. He's going to be our future, and we think he should start out of him. So the fans wants him to start. The fans impressed with him. He also has a great start to the season, and he's really, really attacking. I mean, he had the most touches in the box out of any defenders to start the season. Till obviously Pep, took him off at halftime. Let's hope that doesn't happen again, right? So yeah, I would definitely recommend this punt if you're a wildcard. And lastly, we have Aina, Fulham. We've got Fulham at home. Look, Forest have been, top 4, top 5 defensively this season. I do think there is potential for clean sheets in the next 5. So yeah, I'm putting my faith in a Forest defender. There hasn't been that many 4.5 million defenders screaming or pick me, right? You got Villa, they're not been that impressive. I mean, Ipswich, yes, you got Davies, but I just trust Forest defense more. So yeah, moving on to the midfielders. Yes, as you guys can see, I am keeping Salah. I'm going to have Salah, guys. I'm not going to get trapped or fall into the knee jerk of getting in Diaz. He's been on a purple patch. Yes, he's on his form. Yes, he's getting the most of the key big chances. But I still think that for a whole season, if you do the overall minutes wise, pens, like nailed on, even in tough fixtures, I like Salah in tough fixtures compared to easy fixtures. Actually, I think he might be sometimes playing a bit more reserved in easy fixtures. So I think when he's got the likes of Chelsea and Villa and Brighton, those fixtures, I think he gets more points than any Liverpool attacker, personally. And to be honest, except for Haaland, any other attacker, I think he's likely to get returns in big fixtures. I think he's a big game player. He's historically proven that he can perform. I mean, we saw what he done against United. He loves playing against United, right? So yeah, look, Salah, he will be my captain. He's got Wolves away. Wolves are without one of their centre backs, Mascara. So I do think that there is going to be chances on that right side, right? So let's see. Moving on, we have Saka. Again, one of the big reasons why for my wildcard, I didn't have an Arsenal attacker. Picked Saka because he's got Leicester at home, and then he's got Southampton at home as well as Bournemouth away. These 3 fixtures, I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 big goals. And obviously, you got Mbemo, another template pick. He's got West Ham at home. West Ham have been very leaky, as we saw versus Chelsea. I do think he has potential to, get a goal or an assist or something, right? He's playing as a number 9 now. Obviously, with the Wissa injury, I have my doubts about him. But, we'll see. I think he can get a return. And finally, Semenyo, who rotates really well with Rodgers, who's got Southampton at home. And I think the next 2 fixtures, I think he has the potential for hold as well. Some may even consider him to be captain, to be honest. Some people want to say they want to captain him. So, yeah. And then moving on to our forwards, Haaland. I think he's going to have over 190% EO this week, and he's going to be captain. I'm just hoping that he flops. This is the one time I can go against him. and potentially get a nice rank rise. Although it's a risky move for me considering the rank I'm in. In the top 10k, most people will probably captain him, but I wanna take a punt when I can because it's just boring playing Haaland captain every week, and he will be a setup for get captain for the next 6-7 weeks. They got such an easy fixture run. So there's not much to say about the robot. He's a no-brainer, as you guys can see. I have gone with the two big hitters, and that does compromise my structure and my bench, but I'm happy with it. And finally, my boy, the one I've been gassing up all season and the one I regret selling is man like Chris Ward, my favorite striker right now. And I have bought him back. I missed you, my friend. Thank you. Welcome back to my team. And let's cook. We're going to cook. As we found out in the weekend, he's on pens and he's nailed on to start every game. And look, under this manager, he's just been getting goals left, right, and center. And I think one of the misconceptions about Wood is that people are judging him based on his past. Oh, in the past he played for relegation clubs. He didn't perform, but it's a new system, better club, better attack. So he's likely to get keep up these returns. And lastly, we got Calvert-Lewin, who's got Palace at home, and he's got great fixture run. I'm not too confident with this pick, to be honest. I'm not as high as Kanji on Calvert-Lewin, but yeah. So he's got Palace and got good fixtures. Hopefully, he gets something right. Moving on to the bench, got Fabianski, Brentford away. I don't think he starts. He's just a bench option, to be honest. And Rodgers, Ipswich away. The question is this week, for me, my dilemma is between Semenyo and Rodgers. What do you guys think? Who would you start between the two?
Between Semenyo and Rodgers.
Yep, because that's my dilemma this week.
Yeah, no brainer, Semenyo. Look, if it was, I think it's between three: Semenyo, Rodgers, and Calvert-Lewin. And I think
I was gonna say, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I think more between Calvert-Lewin and Rodgers, personally.
So you would play Rodgers over Calvert-Lewin, is that correct? 90 minutes, pens.
I'm leaning towards Rodgers just because Villa are a better team. They're playing. Ipswich are far worse than Crystal Palace in defence. Secondly, Rodgers is balling out. Just on the eye, he's an amazing footballer to watch. Like the way he dominated Arsenal's midfield was something I've never seen before. Like he was running rings around them. He's created multiple chances in multiple game weeks for Watkins, and Watkins has fumbled the bag. Last week, Watkins didn't fumble the bag. He put it in the back of the net. And I'm expecting Rodgers again to be there or thereabouts for Aston Villa. He got well rested midweek, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. You're right. But look, the reason why I think I have Rodgers currently on my bench is because I'm expecting. Look, Rodgers, he's not a goal threat. Calvert-Lewin and Semenyo, they're both goal threat in my opinion. And I would always go for the player with a higher upside in my opinion, right? I understand Rodgers is 90 minutes. He may potentially be on pens. And do you think he's on pens?
Wait, Rodgers? You think Rodgers
Yes.
on pens? No, it's probably like
come
Tielemans or
on.
McGinn or something.
No, come on.
something like
McGinn's
that.
injured. No. Imagine Rodgers on pens. Oh, look at the scenes that people are going to. Oh, my goodness.
Rodgers on it's a gift. What a gift.
Absolute
Honestly.
gift, right? I hope he's on pens. But look, as I said, right, Rodgers and Semenyo rotated really well, and they've both got good fixtures. Listen, it's good to have a dilemma where you have options on the bench. For worst case scenario, if one of the players gets sick or something, I got Rodgers coming on for them, right? So I'm pretty pleased, happy with that. My defense is quite weak though because of this draft. I mean, I do have Haaland and Salah, right? The two big hitters, and Saka, three big hitters. That does compromise my bench. I do have a 90 minutes man in Greaves, who's got great fixture run. I don't mind him coming in, giving me a 2-pointer, and if he can give me a clean sheet, that's even better. If Lewis is benched, and I'll always play Aina and Gabriel. It is what it is. And obviously Van de Beek, if I see Brentford has improved defensively and he's getting minutes, I might sometimes play him over Aina, right, when he has tough fixtures. So look, overall, I'm pretty happy with this squad. I think this is one of the draft after thinking for over 1,000 times. I've settled on this, but I don't think there'll be any major changes except Lewis. If he doesn't start, I would sell him. I'll switch him for Kanate, and I would have Calvert-Lewin instead of Calvert-Lewin. I might have João Pedro, or I might have Vardy or someone like that. A 5.5, striker, and that will also help me.
Yo,
Go on.
Yeah, this team doesn't have enough depth. I don't think you'll survive many weeks in a structure like this. I would be dropping Salah easily to one of Palmer or Son or somebody like that's cheaper. Get the money out, get more money on the bench. I mean, you can't be playing Greaves or Van de Ven in any week. If you're playing them in your team, you have a bad team. That's my opinion. So it's like, okay, Lewis, I get if you want to go there, you need some bench depth to cover him. Like it's too much in the 11, in my opinion. But I get why you're there because you want the points to come from Salah and Holland. And how often do we put 4.5 defenders in our team and they just blank anyway? So I get the
Konza, look at
thought.
Konza, except for the
I don't
goal,
mind.
right? Konza, except for that goal, what has he
Yeah,
done? I mean, tell me
yeah,
one
I
4.5
get it.
million
I
defender
get
is
it.
putting their hands up saying, "Oh, pick me now." None.
Yeah, and worst case, like it's like Lewis should be starting most games, but if not, you're getting some points off the bench at least. So it's not too bad, but I just feel like you'll always look at your defense and say, hey, like this is the weakest part of my team.
Yeah, and look, Saka is not going to be a season hold for me, guys. I don't think Salah is as explosive as Salah or Haaland. My plan is to, in game week 9, once he has these 3 good fixture runs, he's got the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool, right? My plan is to sell Saka, bring him down to your Bowens or your Madisons, right? One of the Spurs made. And then my plan is to upgrade DCL or Wood, depending on who's performing and who's not. I'll upgrade them to Solanke. All of a sudden, I have 2 Spurs attackers who's arguably like top 3 attack in the league, right? They just love to, create chances. So look, I can react and adjust based on the more information and who's performing and who's out of form. And look, I'm overall set on this, man. Stark, your thoughts, man. Curious.
I think your midfield is incredible for this game week and the few game weeks to come. I have to agree with Kanji on your defense. Lewis, for me, would be a must. Not even on a wildcard in any team, without wildcard, with wildcard, whatever. Based on the information we have with Rodri injured for the season, because we actually have information in how Man City play with Rico Lewis in the system whilst Rodri's not playing. And the chances Rico Lewis is finding himself getting, he's just going to explode, I think. But I wouldn't have him as my starting third defender with the likes of Greaves or Van der Berg as backup. But I completely understand your train of thought and the plan to swap Saka to someone else and upgrade elsewhere. But I would just be worried with Lewis being I would be worried with Greaves and Van der Berg
Worst
as
case
backup.
scenario. Worst case scenario for Stark and Kanji. I need both of you guys help on this one. I'm really curious what you guys think. Say for example, Lewis is benched. I don't think people are gonna go for him on wildcard stock. You agree, right? Or would you have him if he's benched? We find out that he's benched.
I would still have him 100%.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow. Okay.
But I
Yeah,
play him.
would you
Sorry, Kanji, go.
would you consider downgrading a Raya to give yourself more bench depth and defense?
Raya, Gabriel, non-negotiable for me. I'll tell you who's not negotiable for me. I'm open to switching Cavalier to a 5.5 striker and upgrading my one of the defenders. I know you're hiring. I know you're hiring DCL. I understand, but look, I don't.
But there's no one that's good at 5.5. You don't want to be playing them every week. Like with
Welbeck is
Cavalier, you're
there.
playing him every week.
Welbeck is there.
Yeah, but yeah, he's there, but bro, the fixtures are bad. Like
No,
why
no,
do you want
Tottenham.
that?
Tottenham is a bad fixture. You consider Tottenham a bad fixture? I'm gonna bench him this
I
week
mean, they
anyway. I'm
have
gonna play
Man
Rodgers.
City and Liverpool.
No, no,
He's your
it,
differential. They have Man City and Liverpool in the next couple. He's also not on penalties. Like, I get that, man.
bro. I don't. Stock. What do you think? DCL to Welbeck and upgrade one of the 4.5 defenders, Vanderberg to say I don't know a Mikalenko or I can even get Mazarawi or something like that, right? And I have Lewis.
I wouldn't move away from DCL on a wild card. I just think the fixtures are too good. He's on pens. He's getting chances. I just think, name me a defender that has the potential to get more points than DCL.
That's why I have him. Yes, I agree. Yeah. But my
So
problem is Lewis, though, man. If he's benched, what do I do then? This draft doesn't work for me. Then it doesn't.
Lewis, that's the thing. That's the possibility, and that's why we're bringing it up because that's the only flaw I see in your team. And you have to look at your team and think, what could I potentially go without? And you know what? I've said before, I think Mbeumo is going to let people down. I really do. But I can see why everyone would get him. The fixture swing's great. I just think Tottenham, they don't care about defending. So, of course, he got a return. But his finish was sublime. So, yeah,
What about Garnacho, man? If we get a league that he starts, bro, I might punt on him, for Mbimo, but that's insane. That's crazy to think about, right? Garnacho, bro, I'm telling you, if he starts, man, that he can. I'm seeing a whole versus Spurs. Like the way they give him space, they will give him space. He will be at
And
least in 2-1-1. He will have at least 2-1-1. It's a matter of whether if he will finish his dinner or not. I don't think it's a matter
let,
of whether he will get his chances or not.
who do you have when you look at your team? Is there anyone that's not in it that you wish you could have, or are
Yes,
you
yes,
happy?
yes. Yes, João Pedro. I wish I had João Pedro instead of Calvert-Lewin. I'll be completely honest with you right now. I would 1000% have João Pedro over Calvert-Lewin. It's not even close, but he's not healthy.
Okay.
But look, another player that if you say that I wish, right? I think obviously Jackson, but he isn't a good fixtures. I think Jackson, because of the fact that he's got so many players, like so many creators around him, and he's starting for that attack, he's likely to get returns. So I'd say Jackson, but I don't have that kind of funds to go to like 7.8 now. I think he is, so I wouldn't go there. But I think I'm happy with the squad, man. I don't wish for Solanke. Um, if I had like a extra money, I might maybe go for Havertz, but again, he's playing deeper role, right? Like Havertz and Jackson might be the only wishful thinking, but that's outside my budget. You guys tell me who am I missing, guys. Honestly, tell me who am I missing, because
It's
you guys
not.
are
It's not
saying
what you're. It's not who you're missing. It's like you shouldn't have Mo on a wild card. Like you should have Palmer there or Son there and spread the money. Like honestly, that's where I would be. Like your team has no depth. Like bruh, like Rogers is cheap. If he's injured, where are you going? Then you have literally only 4.0 defenders. Like come on,
I've
you
got
need more
Adama.
depth.
I've got Adama, bro.
Like
But
if you don't want to drop Salah, then I think you have to drop Raya because in Mbumo, Wood, Calvert-Lewin, and Saka, there's no room to go down to anyone that's good. Only Salah is the one, and Raya are the ones where you can go down. Everywhere else, you can't go down anywhere else.
I can go there. I can take down Saka, and I can I can upgrade my defenders, bro. All my midfielders. I
Bruh.
promise you, I'm selling Saka in game week 9. That's the plan.
Okay,
And
fine, fine.
yeah,
If you go with this team and you downgrade Saka to Bowen, and then you get more money to upgrade your bench later, it's fine. Then I like the
exactly,
team.
yeah, exactly.
Fine. Yeah, because
Star,
Saka's like your punch for 2 weeks. They have two good fixtures, right?
any more thoughts?
Yeah, I just think on paper your team, if Lewis starts, your team's fire. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. On to our next section, which will be our game week 5 team review. First, Kanji, you're up, my friend. Let's talk about it.
Man, it's been a tough start to the season, bro. I can't lie. So I'm ranked at 4.5 million right now, which is really unlike me. If you follow my content before, I've been finishing around the top 100K for the past 4 years in a row. So off to a very poor start to the season. You've got guys like Bruno Fernandes and Eze stinking up the gaff. You've got Pedro's picked up the injury. He's just going straight to my bench. And it's just been underwhelming in general. Like I've bench Leaf Davis for his points. I bring him in, he blanks. I had Dunk in my team last week. He returned this week. He blanks. But happy that Trent finally got his haul. Got lucky with the Henderson clean sheet. And just moving forward, I think I need to downgrade. Okay. Moving forward, I think my team is fine, but I want to make sure I Pedro my eighth attacker. And if I do that, that means I have to play Semenyo every week, which I don't think is going to be good. So I think I need to spread some funds to upgrade him. But other than that, I really like my team. Like I have no complaints. I think Isak and Bruno will be really good picks long term. I like Saka as well for the season. Calvert-Lewin has the fixtures. Just I need Eze and Bruno to improve. Otherwise, I'm gonna still stay in the low ranks. I also have my Arsenal guys on the bench. Even though the starting 11 doesn't look that strong this week, I purposely plan to bench them because they're playing Man City. But of course, Gabriel still returned. That should be something I should think about in the future. But have and I don't really have a need to wildcard given that I have such a strong squad. I have the triple Arsenal people are wildcarding too. All I have to do is just sort of sell Mo and upgrade Semenyo and I'd be really happy with my team. So moving on to what my team looks like for this week. It sounds weird, but I'm going to be selling the guy that you're captaining this week. I want to be bringing in more depth into my team. I want to make sure I'm Pedro my eighth attacker. So I'm upgrading Semenyo to Mbumo, who's a 90-minute man on the pens. We saw how poor West Ham were last week. Definitely want him. He's in my team for 38 weeks. And then Cole Palmer is very similar, where he's going to become my differential spot. Cole Palmer's coming in for the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to move him onto Son and then go back to Cole Palmer later on because in those 4 weeks, Palmer plays against Arsenal and Liverpool, but he also plays against Newcastle and Man United where he can get returns there. But I really like the structure of my team, and I haven't wildcarded. I've gone for triple Arsenal. I've got the Trent spot. The goalie feels like my one weakness, and I know Isak doesn't have good fixtures, but I have confidence in him over 38 weeks. So overall, I love my team structure. It's just I'm missing Holland, of course, But apart from that, it's going to be 8 attackers that are all on penalties, which is exactly what I was striving for from game week 1.
Fair enough. If you was to give my thoughts on it, the fact that you do not have Salah or Haaland in your team right now will be a big concern for me. And the fact that you have Bruno Fernandes and Eze, who I think are the two of the biggest clowns in the FPL. I think it's been like biggest traps as well as like I think they have sold a lot of people a lot of dreams and they've destroyed their dreams unfortunately, right? I mean, big content creators that are very they're, they're called experts to be honest. They've had good ranks. They've had faith in Bruno Fernandes and Eze. And I personally also fell for the trap and went with Eze, and he's one of my reasons of my downfall. And I had to work out because of him. I could not stand and watch the guy not be on pens anymore. Like Ateta comes and takes the pen off him, and then obviously you got Bruno Fernandes, who is absolutely useless. I mean, United fans want to scrap him now. I'm seeing TikTok people making videos. I want to scrap Bruno Fernandes, and that's how I feel honestly. Like honestly, Kanji, you should work out simply because there's a guy called in your team, Bruno freaking Fernandes, man. Like that guy should not be in anyone's FPL team, honestly. Like, he shouldn't be in any. He shouldn't be in the Premier League. Furthermore. But yeah, man. Stark, your thoughts, man.
Yo, your Bruno Fernandes agenda is crazy. I'm just so curious. I'm just so curious to see how Kanji gets on going against the grain without Salah and Haaland. To be honest, it's going to be fascinating to see how you progress, Kanji, because it's cool to see people play the game in a different way and take these risks. For me, I would not be doing it because Fernandes has been underwhelming. There's question marks with regards to United. Palmer, like I feel like the fixtures swing. I feel like Liverpool have easier fixtures than what Chelsea do in this little swing. So I find it fascinating how people want to bring in Palmer as opposed, but then get rid of Salah.
Yeah, it's
And
just the money. Like, it's just a money thing. If Salah was like 10.5, I never would have made that move, you know?
yeah, I get it. But like for me, there's the overall team is very strong. It's just for me, it would be like week to week. Who am I going to captain? And I feel like that's such a crucial part of the game, and it's let
Yeah.
me down the last I'd say 2 weeks, game week 4 and game week 3. I think that's what's let me down because I've had a solid team, as you obviously when it comes to my point. But yeah, what's your plans with Isak?
Oh, Isak's a hold for 38 weeks unless he gets injured. I'm confident. Like, I don't care about form and fixtures. Like, he's the best striker in the league apart from Holland. Like, I have no doubt about it. Last year, he averaged like 7 points per start. This year, I'm expecting him to have the same exact thing. Nothing has really changed apart from Newcastle not creating enough chances for him. I'm just going to have the faith that they will improve. Even though the fixtures are not great, I'm just going to hold. I don't think it's worth getting rid of probably, arguably, the guy that's playing 90 minutes penalties for a club that's finishing in the top like at least 5 or 6 by the time it gets to the end of the year. Like Isak is undisputedly one of the best strikers in the league. If Arsenal bought Isak, I'd be so much more confident than potentially winning the title. But again, like Isak's too good. I'm really happy to own him at 0% effective ownership. Like I love to own differentials like Isak, Bruno, 90 minutes penalties. Nobody owns them. Those are my types of players.
Kanji, you're so big on Semenyo. That must have hurt losing Semenyo and Salah. This is just I never expected this.
Tragedy, man. Absolute tragedy. I don't like these transfers, but for the record, I hate these transfers. For the record, I think you're making a big mistake, by the way. I forgot to add that. You're making a big mistake. I think Salah is an easy hold and he's an easy captain. I think Palmer is not essential right now. I think Semenyo is probably better than Mbimo this week.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say like it on paper. I know exactly why I made these moves. The exit point is terrible. I mean, Semenyo has Southampton this week. Salah has Wolves. The exit point for them is terrible. But on paper, Mbeumo is a better pick than Semenyo, and he makes up the gap for what I think Palmer is to Salah. And I love Semenyo. I've been on him since last year and selling my differential. This was the guy that helped me rise the ranks last year. But now the whole community owns him, and I don't own him. It's ridiculous. But it just breaks my heart, really. And like selling two of my favorite players to watch. Like it sucks, man. I don't even really like to watch Palmer. I'm not even a Chelsea fan. I probably only watched like 4 or 5 games to be honest for Chelsea. So big expectations. I'll be watching every match from this game week onwards.
Enjoy, get your popcorns out, man. Have a watch party with Stock, you know. All right, let's move on to Stock's game, guys. Game
Boom.
week. Yeah.
Beautiful. Look at that. That's a sign of beauty right there. Let's be honest. No, I'm joking. Game week 3, wildcard went without Haaland until game week 7. Game week 4, game week 5, he punished me. He somehow got a 9-pointer against Arsenal. somebody tell me how he got 3 bonus points. But other than that, I'm very happy with my team. Haaland will be coming in game week 7. And I think as a Palmer captain owner for this game week, I'd honestly feel robbed. If he stayed on with Jackson just even to 75, 80 minutes, I'm telling you, they both would have combined for another goal. And it's a shame, obviously, Saka came off at half-time. The red card, once again, obviously just negated the whole potential after getting that early assist. I do think it was a red card. However, I don't think the Rice one was a red card. I think that one was very harsh. However, for me, Trossard clearly knew what he was doing in this case. And I think the refs are targeting Arsenal due to their gamesmanship, and rightly so. Watkins, yeah, it's a funny one. I'm so glad to have him. He's obviously going to be going soon. And I think a lot of people are getting rid of him for game week 6 before Ipswich. And I think that's going to backfire, just the same as losing Salah, losing Watkins. People are losing Trent before Wolves. I just think these moves are going to backfire for a lot of people. But let's wait and see how it goes. It might pay off. And the boy, Nicholas Jackson. What can I say? This man's silencing the haters.
All right, let's do the. All right, so are you rolling?
Yeah, I'm rolling.
Fair enough. If I was to have your team, let me see. Yeah, I'll probably roll as well. Who would be your starting? Let's look at your team selection actually.
Hopefully Ray is fit. If he's not, I've got no one in goal. So fingers crossed, going to be waiting for the press conference. I think my midfield is elite for this game week. Look at it. I genuinely think I could captain any one of them, Semenyo included. I think Semenyo is going to haul against Southampton. People captain Mbumo versus Southampton, and I think he got a 16-pointer. I mean, Evan Nilsson took the penalty, right? And I know Kluivert took them in pre-season when they lost Solanke. However, I genuinely think there's a case where Semenyo could take it due to how talismanic he is, but that's just me dreaming. I'm not going to captain him, but I think he's great for the fixture. Trent against Wolves on the right-hand side with Salah when they've got Aït-Nouri so attacking. Their defence is just leaking all over the gaff. I'm expecting a Trent clean sheet and Hall. Lewis against Newcastle, I can see that being a clean sheet if he starts. I think Newcastle are quite toothless right now. I think Eddie Howe's getting a lot of lineup decisions wrong. Starting Longstaff, starting Murphy on the right when Barnes is looking great, and Robinson versus Nottingham Forest. I just think he's proven he can be an attacking fullback. To be honest, that was between him and Davis, but where I've got Watkins and I might start Rodgers ahead of Calvert-Lewin, I'm just going to keep Davis on the bench. But it's annoying because every time I bench Davis, he returns. And the one time I started him versus Southampton, but to be fair, he did have a shot on target in and around the 6-yard box. And those are the positions you want to see your fullback getting in. So he's definitely a keep. Rodgers versus DCL, that's my only headache. And I think I'll probably go for Rodgers. Call me crazy.
Interesting. But Everton's playing at home though. Don't you expect a return for them? They need a win badly as well. I mean, they're going to fight for everything now. Banter is back potentially.
This is the thing though. I think playing Ipswich away at their ground is a better fixture than when a team like Villa has to play them at home. Because Ipswich are more likely with the home crowd. They're going to be more expansive. They're going to take more risks and they're going to leave more space. Just watch the game when they played Man City. They took so many risks. They went 1-0 up. But within literally 5 minutes, Man City were just spanking them. It could have been 4-5-1 before half-time. And I just think Aston Villa attack, on paper, I don't think their attack's amazing, but they just click under Emery. And I just think Rodgers is just playing so well. I just think I might regret it. And Salah captain obvious for me this game week. I'm loving people are selling him, and I think he's going to punish everyone.
Yeah, I love the team. I would bench Rodgers. That's it. Team's great. The only question is like, how do you get Haaland back in next week?
I've got 3 free transfers. Obviously, things can happen, so I'm not wasting my time thinking about it yet. I've tinkered with it a few times, but I think Palmer's going to go, and I think Watkins is going to go, and obviously with one more free transfer, I'll be able to get the robot in. And I'm going to keep Jackson at his price point because I like being able to easily go back to Watkins if I need to. And I think Solanke is also another option at that price point that I like, who I can go to.
I would be doing Salah to Bumo and Watkins to Haaland. That's what I would do.
Fair enough. Even with the fixtures, Boomer there's just no way he's going to get near Salah. But obviously, I know it's more Salah for Haaland, but yeah.
Looks good, man. I mean, your midfield, I'm jealous of it, honestly. I mean, look, Brighton is a good fixture. I mean, Chelsea is very good attack. If he gets 90 minutes, I can see him getting a brace, assist, and a goal easily. Paul for Palmer, obviously Saka, Leicester at home, great fixture. Semenyo. This doesn't get any better, to be honest. I do want to say something, though. I noticed something. I don't know if you guys noticed the fact that your team, Kanji's team, and my team, the difference in premium is kind of crazy, right? It's really good, actually. I've got both Salah and Haaland. Kanji doesn't have either now. He still Salah, and you have only Salah. So we got 3 different strategies to how we're going to approach. So for anyone that's watching, you have 3 different thoughts, and you could pick whichever is the best one you think, right? And I guess time will tell. Salah Haaland wins, or Salah or one of the Haaland, one of the other wins, or no Salah or no Haaland wins at the end of it. So we'll see. It's a long season, you know. Yeah, but
Mine's
overall, yeah, go on.
low-key got 4. I would say Watkins is a premium, right?
Yeah, I'll consider him a premium. Yes, yes.
Obviously, Saka and Palmer. It's a 3-premium midfield with Watkins, the premium striker.
Say your draft is a 4-premium, if anything, 4 players that are, So yeah, look, it looks amazing, man. I love your team. I think you'll do really well if Raya is good and if Lewis doesn't get benched. These are the 2 caveats, right? So yeah, I guess let's move on to my team. For game week 5 to review, I've got 72 points. I don't know how I got over that. I thought I was having a shocker of a week until my hero Gabriel came up with a header again, saved me. It was insane differential, to be honest. And obviously Henderson, he finally returned. I think Henderson and Gabriel returned kept me in the top 10k, and obviously Trent, of course, and Rogers. But I think the key one in terms of EO was Gabriel. Gabriel saved me with 7 pointer. No one expected that. And obviously, the unfortunate thing was João Pedro was again benched, which I expected, to be honest. I predicted this. And obviously, Diego Jota as well. My goodness. There were a couple of accounts like Anthony Ilsides that predicted him to start. I even said on my stream that, these are not maybe reliable, but quite a few accounts that said that he was going to start. Yeah, 2 disappointing of my game weeks is João Pedro and Diego Jota. Hero of my game weeks are Henderson and Gabriel. I mean, I'm forever in depth of Gabriel, to be honest. Because 2 weeks he kept me to save me, and because of him, I'm still in the top 10k actually. And yeah, Rogers finally returned 2 assists and 3 bonus. Really pleased with him. And Watkins, of course, is gonna go. Watkins is really good, man. I'm scared to sell him on my wildcard, honestly. But it's just that he costs so much. It's hard to justify that price point, especially if I want to have Salah. And I wouldn't captain Watkins in any of the game weeks if I have Salah and Haaland. So that's my reasoning for not having him in my wildcard. And of course, João Pedro is now injured. I want to get rid of him. And the biggest flop of the year, the biggest clown of the year so far is Eze. Eze has let me down significantly. And the worst part is, just to add a salt on the wound, I've sold ESR for him in game week 3, who has returned back-to-back game weeks and punished me. If it wasn't for Eze, I would be in the top 1k right now. Easily. Right? Easily. And I've sold Wood for João Pedro. If I didn't make any moves, I'd have 4 transfers in the bank and I'm maybe top 1k right now. It's okay though. We want to get the mistakes out of the way in the early of the season, right? So look, it is what it is. Mistakes are made. Now time to correct those mistakes. And moving forward, let's hope we keep this rank up and hopefully, we can finish in the top 1k. That's the goal, or top 10k minimum, right? That's the goal, especially the start that I've had. 72 points. I was quite pleased with that actually. And another thing was Hardwood Bayliss. He kept the clean sheet for 94 minutes. I was watching it, praying, please keep the clean sheet. And they conceded like classic Southampton does in the 94th minutes. That was a disappointment. I knew he was going to come in for Jota, but he conceded. But yeah, overall, I'm pleased with this team. I didn't need a wildcard, to be honest. If you look at this team, do you guys think it needs a wildcard?
Not for game week. Not for the game week coming up. No, I think you could have
No.
been.
Yeah, I know. I didn't need it, to be honest. I had Gabriel, best Arsenal defender. It's just that I just don't think that Palace keeps a clean sheet versus Everton, and I don't think Eze returns versus Everton. So that's 2 minuses, and I don't trust Joao Pedro to start. 3 minuses and Jota. So I'll be making 4 transfers immediately on the wild card, right? So that tells me, look, I could definitely do a switcheroo, improve my benches, or I had no bench. I want to sell both Johnston and Hardwood. So that's 6 transfers for sure, and Robinson's fixture turn as well, 7. So looking at all of that and the fact that I couldn't catch price rises, in hindsight, I do think I made the right decision, and hopefully we'll see right after 6 game weeks. By game week 12,
Yeah.
we'll be able to know. But I feel like, look, based on the bench that I've got, based on the couple of minuses and wrong decisions I've made, I thought it was time to wildcard, and I wanted to basically keep up with the template, right? Because the template is now triple Arsenal, and I wouldn't be able to get triple Arsenal with this team without sacrificing Salah or someone like that, you know. All right, boys. So this is it. I'm on wildcard game week 6. Wish me all the best of luck. Any closing thoughts, Kanji?
Yeah, I mean, your wildcard is completely opposite of what I would be doing, but I'm still wishing you luck either way. And yeah, hoping you guys get some green arrows in game week 6, and hopefully I get some good luck, man. It's been pretty tough starts to the season.
Mark, closing thoughts?
3 contrasting teams, 3 contrasting strategies. Make sure you tune in because you're going to see different game plans and what works best, and it might suit you as a manager. So I'm looking forward to it.
Exactly what he said. I want to echo what he just said. I think, look, there's more than one ways to play FPL. It's not just template, right? As you guys can see from 3 of our teams. Sometimes it may be that my strategy is the best. Sometimes maybe the Kanji strategy is best. So there's multiple strategies. We all see the games differently. Some of us are eye test merchant. Some of us stats merchant. Some of us are more strategy merchant. So yeah, there's a lot to take away. Make sure you tune in. We'll be doing this podcast every week. And thank you so much. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And peace out.